Good afternoon. My name is David Welch. I'm with ELW Consulting, and I appreciate you having us in today to discuss our findings regarding the potential acquisition of Southwest Airlines. I'd like to start with a brief history of Southwest, how they got started, and how they got to where they are to today. In the late 1960s, around 1967, two Texas businessmen were sitting around having a cocktail, and we're discussing the commute times between San Antonio, Houston, and Dallas. One of the gentlemen actually drew out a triangle on a cocktail napkin and suggested that what if they could fly between those three cities? That would save out a lot of time, save them a lot of time driving, which is unproductive time, and then they actually thought that perhaps they could make a business out of that. So that was actually the beginning of Southwest Airlines. It took them about 4 years to finally get off the ground because of a number of legal challenges mounted by several well-established competitors in the Texas market. But in any event, June 18, 1971, they finally took flight. And the company has never looked back since that time. They grew to be one of the largest airlines in the world, and one of the factors that contributed to that was their culture. It's been well documented. A lot of management theorists have considered it and discussed it in various textbooks, and different consulting firms have tried to emulate it and share some of those best practices with other companies. But essentially it started with a gentleman by the name of Herb Kelleher, who was one of those two original gentlemen. Herb Kelleher and Roland King were the two founders of Southwest Airlines. And Herb Kelleher made it a point that every business decision was going to be given consideration to how it would impact the employees first and foremost, and number two, how it would impact the customers, and number three, how it would impact their vendors and trading partners, which was a little bit of an unusual concept because everybody says employees or customers are first and all that, but Herb truly believed that if his employees were truly happy, then his customers would be happy. Because if his employees were, shining and happy and really loving being in their jobs, that would reflect in their customers. And it was true. It was an amazing concept, and it was wildly successful, and it's still very, very wildly successful today. That was the formation of the corporate culture of Southwest, and again, many books have been written about it. It's a great theory. Currently, however, Southwest is experiencing a couple of difficulties. Number one, they recently have expanded into international markets, longer haul flights for the airline, who typically have made a reputation of hopping across the country, if you will. So these long haul flights, they were anticipating using a Boeing MAX aircraft, 737 MAX, which is a larger capacity aircraft. At the beginning of this year, those aircraft were grounded. Nothing to do with Southwest, but it was a Boeing. It's a Boeing, the manufacturer of the aircraft. It's a Boeing problem with software. No one knows for certain how long those aircraft are going to be grounded, but currently Southwest has about $4.5 billion worth of assets just sitting on the ground collecting dust. That substantially impacted their revenue, but it's also substantially impacted their expansion into both international markets in the Caribbean and Mexico, but also the Hawaiian market. They were anticipating using those large capacity aircraft to carry larger numbers of passengers, making those routes more profitable. As a result, they've lost a great deal of revenue, and it's become quite expensive for them. The other factor is Herb Kelleher, the gentleman that started Southwest and stepped down in 2008 from the company formally. However, he was still very active in the company, still visited a lot of the stations, still met with employees and talked and joked. He passed away this year. And it's a very unfortunate event, but a lot of the Southwest employees believe he was the driver behind the Southwest spirit, the Southwest culture. Some people believe that Southwest culture was the greatest asset that was owned by the company. And so what may be occurring now, there may be a shift, there may be a change, there may be an opening for a company to be acquired and look for a new leader or a new type of leadership. So with that, I'll turn it over to my partner, Giacobbe Ertman, and she'll discuss some more facts about Southwest.